I'd like to introduce our two speakers. Here with me today is our guest speaker, Kate Leggett, Vice President and Principal Analyst from Forrester Research. She is a leading expert on customer relationship management and customer service strategies. She's also joined by Totango's CEO and co-founder, Guy Nirpaz. He's also the author of Farm Don't Hunt, the definitive guide to customer success. Both of the speakers will chat about customer centricity and what's disrupting the traditional approach. And so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Kate and turn it over to you. Kate?
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Christine. And thanks to everyone on the line today who've taken an hour out of your busy day to listen to Guy and I talk about the importance of customer centricity. And what I'd like to do is talk about the modern customer and the importance of the modern customer today, and why it's so important to meet customers' expectations for engagement. So if you think back a decade ago or 2 decades ago, companies controlled all the information about the products and services that they offered, like the price, the location, features and functions, how it was used to deliver business value. And today, we live in a really different world. There is an incredibly easy access to authentic information that's available to customers. And what has happened is that the balance of power has shifted, and it's ushered in what Forrester calls the age of the customer. And today, you can find a lot of information relevant to products and services, specifications, case studies, how the product or service is rated and reviewed by other customers, how products are used to deliver business value, trending issues on products and services. And so what all this authenticity and transparency of information means is that your customers today, they're sitting in the driver's seat. They are controlling the conversation that they have with all the companies that they're doing business with. And because of this, what's important is to know that companies have to be obsessed with delivering experiences in line with customer expectations to be able to garner their satisfaction and their long-term loyalty to the brand. And this isn't only true in the B2C world, but we're finding that it's increasingly true in the B2B world. So why is it so important to provide these differentiated experiences? It's because good experience correlate to a satisfied customer. And a satisfied customer is one who's going to keep their business with your company, who's going to be less likely to churn, to take their business elsewhere. A satisfied, loyal customer is one who will have a higher lifetime value. They'll look at your company to buy additional products and services. And a loyal customer is also one who will serve as an advocate for your company, for your products and services, which ultimately help drive future sales. And these 3 dimensions of loyalty, retention, enrichment, and advocacy have a direct impact to top-line revenue. So ultimately, being able to deliver good experiences in line with customers' expectations, again, correlate to increased top-line revenue. But what our research also shows is that differentiated customer experiences also can impact shareholder valuation. For example, Watermore Consulting analyzed the difference between customer experience leaders and laggards. And then in their most recent survey, they found that customer experience leaders outperformed laggards by 80 percentage points. And they outperformed, customer experience leaders outperformed the S&P index by 26 percentage points. So not only do differentiated customer experiences have a direct positive impact on top-line revenue, but it also has an impact on shareholder valuation. And more than that, in addition to influencing top-line revenue and shareholder value, we found that companies that delivered better customer experiences, and this was measured by Forrester's Customer Index. We have a framework that we use to measure customer experiences. We found that customer experience leaders had customers who were willing to pay a price premium for the products in every single industry, and we have data in over 40 different industries that we surveyed. So just digging a little bit into this, what we found is that, again, every year Forrester goes out and measures the customer experience of different brands, hundreds and hundreds of brands all over the world. And we do this by surveying tens of thousands of consumers who have interacted with these brands. And we calculate customer experience score that can fall into 5 categories. You can either be a very poor provider of good customer experiences, or poor or K, all the way to an excellent provider of good customer experience. And when we dove into the data that we got last year, we found that customers of companies who fell in this excellent band of this customer experience scores had a significantly higher willingness to pay a premium for the products and services of the company than customers who gave a customer experience score that fell into lower categories, for example, poor and even okay. And what you're looking at on the screen here is it's showing the willingness to pay a price premium. It increases with the company's customer experience score in 5 industries that we've chosen to highlight. And the industries are on the right-hand side: TV providers, wireless providers, automotive, airlines. And what we see, again, is this correlation in every industry that we have data on. The better the customer experience that you're able to deliver, the higher a price premium you're able to command. So what does all of this have to do with Zoe, with customer success? So what it means is that companies have to be cognizant of delivering customer experiences in line with customer expectations. And what this means for your customers is that they want to be nurtured. They want to be handheld at every step of their journey with your company. They want to be onboarded properly. They want to learn how to use your product easily. They don't want any friction in learning how to use the product. They want to learn how to use the differentiated capabilities of your products and service. They want to understand, for example, industry best practices and understand how they're able to incorporate these industry best practices in what they're doing. So what does this mean for the company? The company, you've got to nurture these relationships. You need to make sure that your customer is successful in meeting their business goals with a purchase. They want to be onboarded properly. They want to have every user of the product learn how to use the product and get value out of the product. And what this means for companies is, again, you've got to manage the customer throughout their life cycle with you, from initial purchase to onboarding to use, and again, getting the maximum value out of their product. And then only then can you go and recognize and pursue expansion opportunities in your account. So what this means is that you're a vendor, a seller, no longer just makes the sale to the customer and walks away from the customer. what it means is that companies have to deliver. They have to deliver outcomes. They have to deliver success. Again, to keep your customers satisfied, to be able to reap those rewards of increased revenue and increased shareholder valuation and increased price premiums that you can command for your products. And so to do this, they have to understand who the customer is, what their pain points are in achieving their business goals. They have to work with the customer in, again, choosing the right product, onboarding them properly, managing their journey as they learn how to use the product. And they have to make sure that they're getting value out of their product, that whatever they've purchased, whether it's a product or a service, is actually meeting your customers' end goals. So it means that vendors are now responsible for managing long-term relationships. They're not only responsible for delivering products. So what has happened in the last 5, 6 years is that customer success has come to the forefront. And customer success is about proactively managing customer relationships to be able to impact churn, decrease churn, increase existing revenue, and influence new sales. And what has come to fruition is this practice of customer success management. And traditional customer success management takes a real coordinated effort across 4 dimensions. First of all, you need the right success strategy, which is dependent on the business you're in, the maturity of your business, how you tier your customers, how your customers want to engage with you. You have to have the right data about your customers, about their usage of the products. You need their financial data. You need their support data. You need their NPS scores. And you need to be able to have this data aggregated together, and typically you calculate a health score that shows how healthy your customers are, and then you look at trending this health score over time to understand the success that your customers are having with the product. And if your health score is trending negatively, you can intervene. So what you also need to have are these customer success processes. And these are standardized processes for the different tiers of customers that you have. They can be manual, they can be automated, and they're processes to onboard your customers, and then again to track their ongoing success, nurture relationship, and intervene. And then organizations have established customer success organizations. And they've crystallized their roles and responsibilities. And these are the folks who are working at all tiers of the organization, making sure that their customers are successful. So Guy, do you want to give us, the audience, a little bit of information about customer success and your take on it?
Definitely. Thank you, Kate. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. As Kate mentioned in the previous slide, in order to build comprehensive customer success strategy, as a business, we need to understand our customers. We need to have information about customers in real time. And in fact, when we started Totango, one of the core technologies that we've been investing heavily on is a technology that we call DNA CX. It is basically a customer-centric data model that aggregates per customer in real time all the information that is needed in order to assess the situation of the customer, monitor for changes, and proactively impact. So as Kate mentioned, it includes product usage and service tickets and communication and touch points, information at the people level, users, contacts, everyone that is using the product, customer feedback, and financials. And the technical challenge of that is not only to integrate all sources of information in different data formats, it's also to make it very meaningful for the teams, for those customer success teams, in order to be able to actually understand and take action. So if you want to understand the bigger view of that, is that at the bottom you have DNA CX, and on top of it, there are a set of applications that are designed for the customer success organization so they can benefit from this information. So for example, as Kate mentioned, early warning system that monitors for critical changes of the customer health. So as a customer success team, you can proactively on time when it is really meaningful and you can actually make actions. Or all the processes and the workflows, onboarding, adoption, retention, expansion, escalations that are driven by the information that you have about the customer, and are making sure that as an organization there is a consistent and constant engagement with customers to ensure value that is being delivered. Campaigns, which is a communication capabilities to automatically engage with people based on their situation in the journey. And of course, one of the key process management capabilities that we've built in Totango is a very strong analytics capability, which basically means that if you know as a business everything that your customer does, and you know everything about your team and organization, their engagement, and you know the outcome, retention, expansion, adoption, you can clearly deduce what is the work that needs to be done by the team in order to impact the outcome. Learn from that and iterate over that. In the first set of products that we've created in Totango, we call it Customer Success Center, and Customer Success Center is focused on the core customer success processes, onboarding, adoption, retention, and expansion, and it was designed for this newly created customer success organization. So, Kate, that was my summary on the first phase of customer success, and I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the next steps in the following few slides.
Sure. So, vendors like Totango, like others, have really built out these customer success solutions. And not only customer success solutions, but companies have taken these customer success solutions and have invested in building out customer success organizations. And these are organizations that typically reside in a sales organization, but can also reside in customer service or even in operations. And they're staffed with account managers or customer success managers, that still many different titles, that nurture customers after the sale. And they're organizations that have access to customer history, purchase history, all the customer data that they need to be able to monitor customer usage. And again, they work across an array of organizational roles, from the actual users of the products to even the budget holders, to ensure that the customers are realizing the economic value out of their purchase, and that they're using the product or service to meet their business goal. And that, all of this is all in good. We understand why it's so important to nurture customers. We really understand the importance of being able to aggregate this data. We understand the importance of having customer success organizations. But is it really working? Customer success does a good job with the individuals who are actually managing the customer accounts. This vision of customer success technology that empowers these managers has really made them successful. But the question you really have to ask yourself is, does this model, and it's not about technology or processes, it's more about processes, does this model serve well all of the employees within your company who are actually interacting with your customers? And so what I want to do over the next couple slides is sort of take a digression and talk about some of the changing dynamics in our workforce that we're seeing at Forrester. So in a recent study, Forrester is projecting that millennials will form about 44% of the workforce by 2025, and that's not very far away. And as millennials are flooding the workplace, the nature of how work is done is ultimately going to change. So what are millennials' expectations for working in the modern workplace? So millennials, they're bringing their values into work. For them, it's all about relationships and connections, but not done in the traditional way. They're more apt to collaborate on large projects. They're, as you know, they're digitally connected. They expect trust, transparency. They want to be able to access information that they need quickly and easily. They don't want it to be hidden behind applications or permissions that they may not have. They want this transparency and authenticity of information at their fingertips, and they want to be able to collaborate with one another. They expect loose policies like bringing your own device into work, open access to software tools. They don't want these top-down rigid policies. They don't want hidden information. They want to be engaged in complex work. And to do it well means really understanding and integrating many sources of information, again, collaborating with peers. And if they are working for if the work that they're doing is for a customer, like perhaps it's a new product release, or it's a patch, or it's a fix, or it's a customer support issue, they really want a deep understanding of who the customer is, their situation, their configuration. And they want to work in software tools that, again, eliminate these obstacles and interruptions. And if you look at their productivity, their engagement peaks when they're making headway in the work without disruption. So what does this mean for companies? So from a company standpoint, from an employer standpoint, again, your company is, your goals are to win, serve, and to retain your customers. You know, it's all about, again, engaging with your customers to nurture that bond, to deliver differentiated experiences, to grow your revenue and your shareholder valuation. And your employees, whether they're millennial or not, they want to do this. And they want to feel empowered to do the right thing for your company, and not only for your company, but for your customers. And they want to do so without these rigid shackles of policy and procedures. And your employees of today, they want autonomy, mastery, purpose. They want to engage in technologies, again, that support this collaborative, flexible work style. They want to learn. They want to master their domain. They want to improve their knowledge and skill. They want to work in a culture where, again, there's a rich access to knowledge, to information within reach. And they want to work in a culture that rewards ownership. And they want to feel valued and how their work is impacting others, how their work is impacting the customer. So what does this all have to do with customer success? So traditional customer success organizations, they're staffed with really competent employees, but there's very few of them that have this full view of customer information, full view, full understanding of the customer situation, and a greater context of the issue at hand. And so what this means is this full understanding of the customer isn't democratized. And these customer success technologies that have come out do a great job at empowering customer success managers, but they're not democratizing access to customer information to all employees that are touching, either directly or indirectly, your customers. And so what we find is that there's a huge swath of your employees that actually touch your customers at all stages of their journey. And this is the data that I'm showing on the screen here. For example, you've got almost 20% of your employees in your company are producing marketing and advertising content. A third of them are assisting in purchasing decisions, like product experts who can answer technical questions, or engineers who can help with configurations or customizations. You've got 34% of employees that are involved in developing products and services. 24% are making decisions on product strategy, but they're disconnected from really understanding and having that full view of customers. You've got, more importantly than these roles, you've got 35% of employees who are assisting in fixing customer issues. 23% are analyzing product use. And again, none of these individuals in these roles have access to that deep customer knowledge or customer information. They can go reactively and get access to it, but this information, again, it's either buried in a CRM system or a customer support system or even in an accounting system, which is disconnected from the work environment that they're working in. So even if this information is available, they've got to stop what they're doing. They've got to go and reach into another system that they may not have permission to use, where they have to ask for permission. And customer information, again, it's not democratized. It's not easily available, and it's not available in the flow of the work of these different employee roles. And so what we find is that there's a real disconnect between the goal of being more customer-centric, putting the customer at the center of all company activities, and the conversation, putting the customer at the center of activities and conversations, and then empowering employees who are touching the customer. And so you think back to my first slides. Forrester says we're in the age of the customer, where customers control the conversation that they're having with companies that they're doing business with. What this means, again, and I said this in my opening slide, is that companies have to be obsessed with meeting customers' expectations for engagement. They want effective experiences where they're getting value out of interactions. They want to get value without difficulty. They want to feel good about their experience. That's what customers want. And to be able to do this, employees have to be empowered with the tools and technologies, not only to get their work done, but also to have a knowledge of who their customers are, what their situation is. And this information has to be easily accessible from the systems that they're using to do the work. Employees need to have the backing of the company and their organization to help them focus on their most important work. And again, work directly or indirectly touches the customer for a huge swath of your employees. And the only way that employees are going to feel that deep connection with a customer and to understand the impact of the work, the value of the work that they're having on their customer, is again to really understand their customers. So with that, let's meet Zoe. So Guy, you want to talk about your approach?
Definitely. So everyone, please meet Zoe. And I do want to talk about Zoe because Zoe is a concept that came as a result of so many of the ideas that Kate has mentioned before. On one hand, the customer obsession, customer centricity, and the importance of the customer within the company's life, and at the same time, realizing that the impact of the customer goes beyond just the customer success team. So the question that we are trying to answer is, how can we make a bigger impact, an impact that is going to ripple across the entire organization and will integrate into the way people do their job and ultimately affect customers. Because as we said before, we realize that although customer success is very, very important, they're not the only ones that impact customers. In many, many cases, they need assistance and support from the rest of the organization. And it takes the entire village, it takes the entire company to make sure that every customer ultimately sees value from the services and the products and the experiences that they get. And if you want to visualize it, we were thinking that although the current customer success model where there is a single organization that is mandated with proactively impacting the value customers are getting, proactively impacting product use and adoption and retention, expansion, but focused on the customer, this model misses a bigger opportunity, an opportunity where the entire company can participate of customer success. And in order to open it up, we need to do three things. The first one is take this amazing data that we have captured in DNA CX, Totango customer success, the backing data and technology behind the customer success center system. Open it up to the entire company, democratize it so everyone in their workflow can have access to the rich information about customer usage and adoption and support tickets and contracts and service requests, everything that is needed in order to make decision, and open it up for everyone. And that's the first important step. The next step is to encourage other people within the company to participate and sign up for the customer cause. So if you think about the classical metaphors of system where people are being tasked with activities because that's part of their workflow or part of their responsibilities as a function manager, we've got many cross-functional processes that include people from multiple departments. In order to solve a customer problem, sometimes it takes a person from sales and engineer and product and the customer success manager. So we want to turn this around a little bit and make sure that the impact that needs to be created to the customer is being recognized and other people have the opportunity to sign up and participate and add value. And when we do that, when we democratize the data and provide access, and we encourage participation and start thinking about customers as causes and allow people to sign up and make an impact, we basically change the model into an open model for customer success that disrupts the classical model of customer centricity, which allows everyone within the company to participate in the mission of customer success. And if you want to visualize it, it looks something like that. The first step is provide access to the rich data of customer success in real time. Anytime someone needs to make a decision, they can have access. The second thing is make it very easy to go through the cultural behavior where people can participate and sign up in customer-centric initiatives in order to make customer impact all day long, every day, every week. So let me give you some ideas of how we thought about solving the problem. So the user interface model for Zoe is a conversational interface. And in order to get access to and democratize customer data, people can simply use their collaboration tool and start communicating with Zoe. In this example, asking a question to get information about client X, and Zoe immediately responds with this information. If you want to be more specific on a use case, as an example, if you're a salesperson or if there's a salesperson in your organization that need a reference in order to close business, they can simply ask Zoe a question, and Zoe can give them the information about a specific customer or a group of customers that are potential for reference. And you can visualize this as well, or you can think about it as if, as Kate mentioned, if there's a person in marketing that is responsible for creating case studies, they can get access to this information and know exactly who are the customers that are most appropriately suitable for the case study. Or if I'm in product, I want to understand if the features that are being used and in what capacity and by which people and so forth. So by opening it up, this information to everyone, we are basically providing shared context around customers so everyone can make their necessary decision. But it's not just access. As I mentioned, it's also participation and impact. Because in many cases, we want to capture the intent of someone in the company that can publish to other people what we call impact steps, right? In this case, the CSM, Jake, and it doesn't have to start from a CSM, creates an impact request with a goal to deliver, for example, on-site training and fix a bug before that. And he provides the context of the customer that is impacted by that and the due date, and he publishes it on the company communication channel, and other people can see it and sign up for it and support that. And in this case, it could be an engineer, it could be someone from product, it could be someone from support. But basically, we're seeing a lot of these workflows in our companies today, but they're not being captured. And even worse, sometimes people are being penalized for participating in cross-functional activity because that's not their main goal. So by capturing the intent, allowing self-organizing teams, bottoms up, to organize around customer causes and recognize people for their contribution, we're basically allowing the organizational change towards customer centricity, and at the same time, within the workflows and the tools that companies currently. So when we've designed Zoe, our motivation and the initial reaction in the market is such that in addition to the traditional customer success model where there's a centralized team dedicated for customer success, we are also opening up customer success for the rest of the organization. And for that reason, the transformative approach is the open approach to customer success. And when we look currently at the Totango product offering, we have on the left-hand side, the Customer Success Center, which was designed for the core workflows of the customer success team. Right-hand side, Zoe, which is the total customer success experience and designed to provide access, participation, and impact to the rest of the organization, so everyone can participate. And the value that they're getting is because both solutions are built on the same customer success technology that we've built, the data technology, which is called DNA-CX, that provides real-time context and information about customers to everyone in the company. So if I just want to summarize it, what we've basically done here, we've tried to answer a question: how can we make a bigger impact as an organization? How can we leverage all the great talent that a company has, and how can we make it very easy for them to take part and participate in the customer success mission? And for that, we needed a new user interface paradigm that makes it easy and in the flow for everyone to participate.
So this slide just backs up what Guy has been saying. Again, companies today are focused on delivering differentiated customer experiences to win, to serve, to retain your customers. And what this means is you've got to empower all employees with transparent customer information, not only just a select few that form a customer success organization. If you really want to organize around the customer, you've got to make this customer information visible. And so we've known this. For example, if you just look at the pre-purchase sales journey, where you've got teams of sellers who are often sell to teams of buyers who have different roles and responsibilities in an organization, we've learned for selling activities that that sales teams have learned to coordinate and orchestrate efforts to share information, to share status, and to plan a unified approach with the buyer at the center of conversation. So what you now have to do is this team approach, you just have to continue it after the sale. You can't have that disconnect once you've sold a product to a customer. Again, you've got to onboard your customers. You've got to fully support them so they're getting full value out of the purchase. If they have an issue, you've got to organize around the issue to make your customer successful. And so what this means is that organizations have to continue to put the customer at the center of conversations. They have to make customer information available to everyone, and available again easily in a way that's not disruptive, that's not hidden behind logins or applications that you may not have access to. It's got to be available within the tools and technologies that your modern workforce is using. And again, why do you want to do this? It's a bit of motherhood and apple pie, but again, you want to organize around the customer to be more customer-centric, to deliver those differentiated experiences, because ultimately if you do so, you'll be able to retain your customers. They won't take their business to a competitor. If you do a good job, your customers will end up buying more from you, increasing their average customer lifetime value. And they'll talk about you. They will recommend your products and services, and that drives second-order sales. And again, all these dimensions of loyalty have a positive impact to top-line revenue, to shareholder valuation. Your products can demand a price premium, et cetera, et cetera. There's a tremendous amount of value, economic value, that a company can reap from becoming more customer-centric. So with that, we're going to open it up to questions. Christine, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Yeah, thanks. I want to invite all the participants to go ahead and submit questions in the bottom left corner of their window. We've had a few come in. I'm going to start asking a question for Guy. So Jared wanted to know, how does the Zoe onboarding process look like? More specifically, how do you handle importing the data from all your different existing business applications?
Thank you, Christine. That's a great question. And the answer for that is the technology that we've built called DNA CX. It's basically a technology that does two things. One, it connects into multiple systems. It has predefined connectors and also generic connectors that allow you to import data. And secondly, which is even more importantly, organize the information in a very consumable way, including adding health to customers and so forth, that is exposed through the Zoe user interface.
Great. Thank you. So in your bug fixing example, this is a question from Joshua, we see a CSM request support on a bug. Zoe displays the bug, and the engineer says, thanks, we'll fix the bug. Can you elaborate? This is a short visual for the presentation slide, but can you describe a little bit more about the impact step and the value that Zoe contributes to this type of interaction? Maybe I could pull that up on the screen for everyone.
Sure. Yeah, and yes, sure. And it's true. This is like more of an illustration. It usually takes more conversation. But when we think about solving for customer cause. And it doesn't need to be just negative. Usually there's one person that has the intent and the context and needs to be able to loop in other people from the organization. We do it every day, even without Zoe. You use email, you use Slack, you start capturing those conversations. What Impact Step is trying to accomplish is turn this into a very into a way in which we can actually capture the intent, what is needed to be done. We can publish that through the communication channel. Nobody needs to log in because just it is being pushed to the necessary people, and they can, based on the issue, they can decide to sign up and commit their time and the resources in order to solve it. And the most important thing here is that the customer objective is what drives the process. So if a customer success manager, as in this example, that's based on the true example that we've had in Totango, where we had a customer success manager finalizing work before next day big training, ran into some issues, didn't have a lot of time, asked for help, and many people from the company, the support team, the engineering team, worked with her to understand the problem, take ownership of the problem, and actually resolving this. Not just because she asked, because it was clear that it is related to an important customer with a time constraint, and being captured, worked through, and solved too. The alternative, if we think about it, the alternative is to open a support case, and it's in the support queue, moved into the product backlog, moved into the sprint backlog, moved into whatever. All those pipelines and queues are good for some sorts of activities, but when we want to put the customer in the center, they're not doing great service for the customer. And in that case, the Impact Step really helps to break the silos, allow self-organizing teams focus on customer cause and run through the process, manage the process, communicate the process, and actually solve for the customer objectives.
Can I add something, Guy? I think
Sure.
where the value also is, if you're using just a bug tracking system to be able to work on bugs, what also helps is to have that. Perhaps it's a patch or a fix for a particular customer. What's also important is for the engineer who's actually working on the bug to have a little bit more context about who the customer is. So being able to use Zoe, you can easily surface through Slack or email or other ways just quick information about the value of the customer, perhaps the context of the customer, additional details that's not typically gathered in a bug tracking system. And that just gives the engineer a little bit more context, more understanding of the importance of the customer, their situation, and perhaps if there's milestones that are important to that customer, that again, the engineer wouldn't be aware of. So it just rounds out the knowledge of why this work is important and who's the receiver of this work.
I agree, 100%.
Great, thank you both. So a new question from Matt. Is embedding a customer-centric view and culture within operations a viable alternative to having a separate specific CS team? Maybe, Guy, you want to answer that first?
Maybe I'll give it to Kate first. I've answered two.
I think you need both. I think you need a customer success management team. I mean, this isn't replacing a customer success management team. You need a customer success management team. You need to have that contact person to manage the account, the health of the account. But what you also need is for all the roles within a company that directly and indirectly touch a customer, you need to be able to empower those roles with easy access to customer information. So it's not one or the other. It's a combination of both. And by democratizing this customer knowledge across the company, it ultimately helps the company and the customer success manager in meeting their end goals. Guy, I don't know if you want to add anything.
I don't think that there's one or the other, or necessarily there needs to be an order where you need to start with customer success and then open it up to the rest of the company, or vice versa, start with the company strategy and at some point establish customer success team. I think what's the most important thing is to realize that there needs to be a customer success strategy for the organization where the customer is in the center of the activities within the company.
Great. Thank you, guys. Irene asks a good question. I'm going to shorten it a bit. How do you measure the success of a customer-focused culture, and what do you measure with Zoe?
So measure with a customer-focused culture. You, at Forrester, we talk about, we have a customer experience index that we can correlate to revenue. We have methods to measure customer experience. You can tie it to shareholder value. You can tie it to the price premium a product or service commands in the marketplace. You can tie it more granularly to customer churn or customer lifetime value metrics. So again, there's a set of revenue metrics that you can associate with customer centricity. How do you measure them with Zoe? Guy, I'm going to defer that to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So actually we thought a lot about this and the culture impact. One of the very interesting metrics that we found to be very effective is the ability to see how many customers are being impacted by how many team members, right? Because that basically shows what is the level of penetration across the organization to impact customers. Are there customer-specific initiatives? It's the number of customer impact steps, and how many team members are being impacted that. One other metric that we've looked and very, very much surprised us positively is the ratio between non-customer success and customer success professional impacting customers. And of course, the bigger the ratio is, the more wide adoption of customer-centric activity there is in the company.
Great. And as we discuss, building a customer-centric organization, Alexa wanted to know, how do you engage other departments to get excited about customer health? Kate, do you want to take that first?
How do you get other departments to I think it's that education, the socialization within a company of how it's about what's in it for me, how your role directly or indirectly impacts the customer, what the value of the customer is, what the value of the customer is on your business metrics, revenue, stock price, and if those trend down, what's the impact to your business? So you can frame it positively. If you do a great job at being able to retain your customers, you'll meet or exceed your revenue goals. If you don't, if your customer's health trends negatively, what's ultimately the impact? It's like your customers defect and you go out of business. So you can, it's a communication strategy with a real focus for different roles to frame the issue. And What's in it for them? What's in it for a tech writer? What's in it for an engineer? What's in it for a product manager? How do their roles directly and indirectly affect the customer and the customer's health? And why is your job important in doing the right thing for the customer? And how is it going to directly impact you? Collectively, you're not putting the customer at the center of your conversations.
I would add, in addition, Kate, I 100% agree with you. In addition, I would say that you talked about the sense of purpose of the modern employees in the workforce. And by democratizing health, they can actually see the impact of what they're doing on their day-to-day job and how does it correlate to customer health or other metrics around customers. So my point here is that sharing this information and democratizing it is motivating for people to see correlation between their work. And the second aspect is the social aspect, doing this in a way that is available for other people while they participate around the customer creates motivation. We've seen many early adopters of Zoe coming from the customer success team who want to get recognition to the work that they're doing. They're not just fighting churn. They're doing, they're playing to win. And as you said, churn is a lagging indicator, so they want to show off a lot of the work that they're being doing and its impact on customers. And socializing that with others really creates credibility for their position.
Great. Thank you both. We are coming up on the top of the hour. Maybe just ask one more question. So Neil would like to know, what, Guy, if you could summarize again, what is Zoe replacing?
So it seems as if Zoe does not replace anything, but that is not correct. There are two major use cases. Zoe replaces the democratization piece. Zoe replaces let's take an example. As I said this before, a salesperson needs a reference. Right now, without Zoe, they need to figure out who owns the customer, reach out to this person, disrupt them from what they're doing, and get a few days or a few weeks later some information that is filtered by the motivation of the account manager to respond. Right? So it's not timely and it's not accurate. That's one use case, and creating this freedom. The second thing is there's a lot of conversation when teams work together, but it's not captured anywhere. What happened, what needs to happen, or even the historical aspect of it. Did it actually work? Was it actually successful? Should we recognize people for their contribution? It is being done today through email or chat or whatever, but it's not being captured. So basically, if you want to think about it, Zoe enhances with data and with participation the existing collaboration flows and creates them more effective and puts the customers there as you talk about the customer. As Kate said before, when an engineer fixes a bug, they know what this bug related to and which customer does it impact and why is it needed, and they can decide the strategy of fixing it and the timeline in a way that meets their goal. So they will fix the bug anyway, but in this case, they will fix it better and more appropriately to what is needed.
Thank you. Okay, I want to thank everyone for joining us and giving us an hour of your day. I want to thank Kate Leggett for joining us as our guest speaker. Thank you, Kate.